owners and general managers and league officials look the other way because you're selling tickets and the ratings are going up and all the advertisers are saying, oh, great job, guys. We're selling products. This is exactly what's happening, and Paul touched on it. It's a good old boys, big business that, hey, sometimes individual lives don't matter. That's unacceptable to me because we're talking about being a good influence on 22-year-old men, 18 to 22-year-old men. And if they look at their coaches that are doing these things and letting things slide, that is not the right message to send these kids.
And the other side of this.
Wow. So kudos to Mark Teixeira. I got to tell you, man, I'm proud of you, Mark. What a bright guy. I never saw him doing sports until this morning on ESPN. He is a better sports commentator than even a baseball player, and that's pretty remarkable. Because he just summed up this whole Urban Meyer thing in the nutshell, with all the hyperbole and rhetoric put aside, whether or not it's abuse of a woman and who covered up for who. And, you know, I called into Tim Brando back when the Paterno story first broke. And I said this isn't about sexual abuse and child abuse and women abuse as much as it is a systemic financial abuse. When you pay a college football coach millions of dollars, they owe Urban $38 million, the coach of Ohio State. This is the guy that's allegedly covered up for one of his coaches abusing his wife. And it's always a backdrop story, right? It's abusing the wife. It's a guy who beat up his girlfriend in an elevator. It's sexual abuse. It's about the money that causes the cover-up. And I've been saying this for years. The perversion ain't the sex. The perversion is kids go to college, they go into debt, they come out, maybe they'll find some crap job. And I'm talking about 90% of the students that'll get a degree from Ohio State or any big college like that. And these football coaches are making $60 million and $50 million. And we got angry football players that don't want to respect our flag and country because they only got $150 million in the bank. That is sodomy. And thank God that Mr. Teixeira pointed that out. It's about the big bucks, and then the franchise must be protected. Like the crooks at the FBI, the crooks in our government and Congress, and the Democrats are the worst because they love big government franchise. That's why I believe in republicanism. The less of the scoundrels, the better. Okay? Conservatism should be the model of everything. Austerity in a church. You know why the Catholic Church is a failing institution? It's too big for the altar boys' britches. Too many hundreds of millions and billions of dollars flying around. That's the atmosphere of sin. That kind of egregious greed. Absconding art from all over the world. And then telling individual nations they have no right to claim sovereign borders. Our government that would rather enfranchise illegals. And it all falls back on the working American. You pay for those illegals when their countries fail. You pay for them when they come here. And this morning on Fox News, I'm listening to a pundit talk about how, or on CNN, how we have to track down the separated children. How we have to. Because they came here illegally, it is now our burden. You know what? You raise your children, too much money, send them to college, dump them at your neighbor's doorstep, and then move away. That's the liberal logic. The liberals who control colleges, that pay football coaches hundreds of millions of dollars, and college professors. Go look at these people, what they make, these degenerates who tout communism, knock capitalism, and charge students for their textbooks that they own the rights to. And by the way, the new scam, you're not allowed to use your older brother's textbook. You want credit for the course, you got to buy the professor's book, but you got to pay for it, whether you have a copy of it or not. That's not RICO. That's not criminal. This is why Christ got crucified, because he kicked over the money changers' tables. And it wasn't about doing business. It was about the perversion of business. It was about a bunch of self-righteous hypocrites acting like they were above it all, coming to the agora, the temple, with a satchel full of Roman denarium, exchanging it out for a vigary, for Jewish shekels, in front of the eyes of God, in front of the Holy of Holies, and acting sanctimonious. Then they would take the shekels, move to the next table, and buy an offering, and have the temerity, the chutzpah, to tell the merchant to sell them an unblemished dove or lamb, so that they could go into temple looking like nice Jewish boys. And Jesus looked at them and called them hypocrites. And the word he used, hypokriti, is Greek for actor. And I tell you, all your offerings are blemished. He didn't resent that they were buying an offering. He resented the vigary and money-changing hypocrisy. Whose face is on that coin? Then render unto Caesar what is Caesar, and unto God what is God's. Don't go around like a pious, nice Jewish boy trading in the devil's denarium. That's the lesson that got him crucified, because he took on the money changers, the bankers of Jerusalem, the crooks who spread the filthy money around to make everything go their way. Today they're called lobbyists and banksters. And they run these colleges like they run every other institution. Every appendage of government is corrupt, from the FBI and the CIA. And they have the temerity, like John, Mr. Potato Head Brennan, to call themselves communists, while they abscond with millions of dollars, like Mr. Comey.